I have the sense that what are we calling after Gen Z? Alpha now? I don't even know what we're calling
I think
them.
they're alpha.
Yeah. Alpha kind of gets it. They know it's bad for them, and they know it's bullshit. And so they are a kind of a discerning group, but still you got to help them. You got to limit the access. The older folks. So the older folks are being swept into hysteria and ending up outside the Tesla dealerships, right? Not good. I would urge them to expose themselves to different kinds of information and to think about things. And then the young adults, sort of the middle, 30-something, 40-somethings, porn addiction is out of control. Sex addiction is just crazy.
So how much of that is connected to where we started here, that we are hit, the mechanism to deliver the bad ideas has been weaponized.
Yep.
Not only weaponized algorithmically, but in some way, as I always say, that it's like the algorithms seem to know us more than we know ourselves. We can all say, we like good news all the time.
Yeah.
If someone just did the good news show, I do it. But they've tried, and it always fails. I mean, I try to do as a positive spin and a silly. The way I present things is usually sillier and more ridiculous.
A piece of advice.
But we know hysteria.
You need to go back to the South Park clips, by the way. They've gone wild. I love those guys. They are brutal right now. So it's going to be bear fruit.
I know you love those clips when I react to the South Park stuff. We literally shot a few of them before we jumped on with you. That will be released in August.
Oh, can't wait.
Stay tuned. Including Donald Trump's penis, which spoke. It's very disturbing, frankly.
Very disturbing. But they are equal opportunity brutality. They get everybody. They don't leave anybody out of their line of fire. So
what would you, as a doctor, I mean, if someone came to you and said, well, I guess you could do a couple of versions of this. Let's say someone brings their 15-year-old kid who's crushed under the weight of all the incoming fire of cancel culture and just the general state of craziness. They're inundated with the images and all the stuff.
Yeah.
Then someone comes to you, now they're middle-aged, and then someone comes to you in older age. Do you have to operate with these people differently to get them out of some of the ways we are hit with information?
Yes, and the pathologies tend to sort of be a little different, right? With the young person, it's identity and self-esteem, and who they are to their peers. It's everything, and you can imagine they can't escape it. So you got to help them build a sense of self and ability to regulate their emotions without the constant connection with the texting and the peers and all this stuff. But it's tough. It's very tough.
What do you do about the physical side of that? Because that's also been put on steroids. Everyone is filtered and photoshopped. And, so every 15-year-old girl is comparing herself and guy, comparing themselves to things that don't exist.
Correct. And I think limit exposure, obviously, because even anybody can just be distorted by that, right? I mean, any human being. But I have the sense that what are we calling after Gen Z? Alpha now? I don't even know what we're calling them.
They're alpha.
Yeah. Alpha kind of gets it. They know it's bad for them, and they know it's bullshit. And so they are a kind of a discerning group, but still you got to help them. You got to limit the access. The older folks. So the older folks are being swept into hysteria and ending up outside the Tesla dealerships, right? Not good. I would urge them to expose themselves to different kinds of information and to think about things. And then the young adults, sort of the middle, 30-something, 40-somethings, porn addiction is out of control. Sex addiction is just crazy.
Wait, sorry, which I was scribbling something down because I want to get
30,
40-year-olds,
the ones that had access to explicit pornography on their phones when they were adolescents, it messes with their wiring.
This month, Tax Network USA is celebrating American Pride Month with 10% off all services honoring freedom, resilience, and financial independence. If you missed the April 15th deadline or you have back taxes, don't wait. The IRS is ramping up enforcement fast. Penalties can hit 5% per month. The good news, Tax Network USA can help. Whether you're self-employed, run a business, or your finances are a mess, their experts know how to get results. Consultations are free, and acting now could save you from wage garnishments or bank levies down the road. Call 1-800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/Dave to get started. Take advantage of this month's sale for 10% off. So let's hit all of those. So first on the older one, when we see these people, it's usually it was older people that were outside Tesla screaming or that have Trump derangement syndrome or something. In some ways, when we've played videos, and it's usually females, when we've played videos of them, I'm somewhat sympathetic to them because although I think they're wrong about what's happening, I'm sympathetic that they're watching the boomer world disappear.
Yes.
And then they see all this stuff that they never saw before because of the internet. And then it offers their brain this like bizarre sense of everything's falling apart. And I'm somewhat sympathetic to that when you and I are their age one day, the world might be so cataclysmically different that maybe we'll be crazy because we'll think that all the good stuff that we had was flitting away.
That piece I will grant you, but Adam Carolla and I talk about this a lot, and he sees all these people as his mom. So they were essentially the narcissistic hippies of the 60s. Mm-hmm. And they were casting off the yoke of a generation that made no sense to them, and legitimately so. None of us anticipated this. I created Loveline, right? I was involved in the creation of Loveline. Yeah. And that was to alert young people about the biological consequences of really the sexual revolution, which was perpetrated by adults. No one contemplated what it would do to adolescents and young adults. They were getting STDs. They were getting pregnant. They were being acted out on sexually by people who took the position that they're just young adults, whatever, no big deal. They're into whatever they're into. It was a horrible time. And now we have this thing, HIV. We at the time when I started, we were calling it GRIDS, and then we called it AIDS, and then we had HTLV3, remember that? And then we had HIV. And all through that, I was like, you got to know about this. It is coming. And so that biological reality was all I was really talking about. We ended up, as years went on, talking about the consequences of childhood trauma on many of their interpersonal choices. We did not anticipate the current situation. We were not heading for this. I was not moving for fourth graders to be given explicit sexual education courses. That is insane. That's absolutely nuts. Their brain is not wired for that. It can't manage it. All right. But back to the old people and Adam's mom. They were very narcissistic. They were the first narcissists, and they did it in the name of caring and being so concerned and concerned for the environment. And it really, but we look at what they did over the years. They never actually did anything for anybody, including parenting. They were caring, and that has become a crucible now. That has become the sort of organizing idea of many people on the left, which is I care more than you, which is a specific narcissistic signal. If you care more than somebody, how about you pay more to the people that work at your house? A lot more.
Right. You can have empathy, but it can't be the top of the hierarchy.
Toxic empathy. There's something called toxic empathy. And the toxic empathy entirely, by the way, is polluted by narcissism. And they sort of are getting past that by this virtue thing. Narcissists have two big signaling needs. I exist and I'm better than you. And I care more than you is now the way that they're doing that, which again, and part of that caring is you're going to kill people. I care more. You're going to kill. And it's all a projection. And by the way, if you looked at some of the policies of the vaccines, of the vax, of the school shutdown, they killed people. So as always, it's a projection. It's a projection.
So when you see someone in that group that we're talking about, that let's say they're really plus 70 now, but they're activists and they are out there. I mean, do you think that for the most part, there's really no way to deprogram them at that stage of life? No, obviously not completely, but.
Yeah, no. And it's, you can't, again, if you're dealing with somebody like that, it's a lot of questioning. I wonder what this is about. I wonder what that is. I wonder why Elon Musk would spend his time trying to help out. I wonder, wonder, and just get them thinking and then expose them to different ideas as much as you can. But there's all this theory about, people's cognitive biases that when you convince them in one area, sometimes they double down in another in the sort of same category. So it's to some extent you can't really use intellect. You can't use argument because they will shapeshift right in front of you. They'll morph into something where they change the topic and literally.
If you're craving more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics, check out our politics playlist right here. And if you don't want to miss any future videos, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell.